Hi there, Stampers. Welcome to today's live. Happy Monday. Today we are doing a gatefold card, but it's a little bit different. This one opens up like a normal landscaped gatefold, but then it has this expanding pop-up part in the middle. So just a little extra fun surprise that I'm excited to show you how it's done. So let's get down to my desk and get started. Okay, here is our card. And when I actually made my sample, I wasn't sure if I was going to do this for a Monday or a Thursday because actually I used just stamps and a little bit of fussy cutting. But you could use dies. We do have several dies that would make great ornaments. And another idea that I had was that I could have clear embossed the ornaments before I stuck them to the card. Now, in order to clear emboss them, what you would do is you would have your whole circle, and then you would put it into your Versamark pad, get the entire top of it wet. Then you would set it in your tray, and you're going to pour your clear embossing powder over the top of it. And then you're going to set it down onto your silicone mat that would have a little bit of adhesive on it. So you're going to set this on the adhesive so that it's going to stick to the silicone mat, and then you're going to heat emboss it until it's all melted, and the silicone will allow you to peel this off without disturbing the cardstock and the seal that's holding it to your table. So that would make a shiny ornament that might also be fun to do with this card. Okay, for this card, we're using the traditional labels, and I'm just using the stamp set because, as I said, I used punches to punch out our ornaments. I'm using the Traditions of Christmas Designer Series paper. I have my back of the card is a 5.5 by 4.25 piece of old olive. Then I have my real red, and this is 10.5 by 4, and then it's scored at 2 5/8 from either side, or 2 5/8 and then 7 7/8. But it's basically just making it meet in the middle so that overall this is going to be a 4 by 5.25 layer. Okay. Then to go on the outside, we have some of our Traditions of Christmas Designer Series paper. And so this is going to be 2 3/8 by 3 3/4. Normally I cut them to where the pattern matches up, and that one I didn't. That will annoy me. Okay. It doesn't matter. It's still going to work just fine. Okay, for the front, for my focal point, I have a piece that is 3 3/4 by 2.5. And then for the inside, I have a piece that is 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. Okay, to go over the front one, this is 3.5 by 2 1/4. So of course that's going to fit right there. This is going to mount on the inside of our card here. And then my Designer Series paper that I have in my expanding pop-up here, this is going to go right on top of it. So this piece is 4 inches by 12 inches, and it's scored at 3, 6, and 9. So overall, that's giving me a 3 by 4 piece that's going to go in the middle and be our pop-up. Then to go in that, in order to have our inside sentiment, this is 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. I'm using one of my little strips of leftover DSP just as a little bit of an accent. And then I also fussy cut some flowers that we will put on some of the higher up ones. For our ornaments on the front, I have 2-inch circles in Petal Pink, Pool Party, and Real Red. Then I have one that's going to go on the inside that is Old Olive. And then over that one, because I'm going to be using that as a sentiment, I have a 1 3/4. And then in order to make them look like ornaments, I just took a little 1/2-inch strip and I'm just going to have it pop out of the top. So that's going to be the top of my ornament. So there's one for each one. And then in order to really make it look like an ornament, I wanted a little bit of foil on the top. So I just have a really teeny tiny, it's not even 1/4 of an inch, just a really thin strip of some silver foil I had left over. It does have adhesive sheet on the back. That's just going to make it easier for me to put together. And this is going to be all of the parts we need to put our card together. Oh, and we do have a strip of the Real Red shiny ribbon. Let's see, so this is more than our 16. So I've got 16, maybe 20 inches, 21 inches. I left it a little bit long so I could have some to fuddle with for the bow. And of course, we're going to cut that at an angle. And then I always take my ends and heat them up. Because I just don't want them to unravel on me. I'm just barely having it touch the end, and it's just melting that fabric just so it won't undo. Okay, so there's our ribbon. Let's go ahead and start with some of this. I kind of want to start with my ribbon because I know I'm going to forget that before I stick it onto my base because I get so busy talking. I saw Janet already mentioned I am leaving for Las Vegas next Monday. So next Monday and next Thursday are going to be pre-recorded, as well as the following Monday, because that whole week I'm going to be in Las Vegas for the Stampin' Up Leadership Conference. They call it Backstage. And then I'm staying extra to spend some time with my son and also get to visit with Janet. So that will be fun. Okay, to stick this to the back, what I want to do is put a strip of tear-in tape right across there because it's going to be nice and sturdy and it's going to hold that ribbon in place. Okay, I want it to be kind of centered. So what I did is I folded this in half, found the middle, and then I'm placing it roughly in the middle of the back of the card. And then letting that go ahead and seal. And then I want it to adhere to this. So that's going to bury my ribbon back in there so that it doesn't ever fall off and the back is kind of hidden. And I can come back with some more tear-in tape, or I can use seal for this. But I'm just going to add this as if it's a layer. Onto that Old Olive piece. Okay, we did have some new online exclusives that dropped for customers. That's pretty exciting. I think it's tomorrow it releases. But there are some new fun stuff. You've seen a lot of us playing with some new product that are going to be some new online exclusives available in November to our customers. In my newsletter, I have a PDF document that's kind of looks like catalog pages. So if you prefer to see things in printed format, there is a catalog looking PDF that Stampin' Up! Has now started providing us with. So that look that you're used to, you will have to showcase all the new product. Okay, so there is our Gatefold card. Okay, we're going to, as I said, put the little one on the front, but I only want it adhered on one side. So when I put my adhesive, I only want it over here. Yes, I am live with you right now. I leave next Monday. And as always, I try to show up in the comments, even when it's not technically live. I try to be in the comments so that I can answer questions and things. Just because I'm traveling, I don't want you guys to have to miss out on your regularly scheduled crafting sessions. I'm putting this one in the middle. I'm just going to center that overall. We had a lot of fun on Saturday. We did the online Jolly Delivery card making workshop, or it's a Jolly Delivery bundle and the North Pole Delivery Suite and Designer Series paper. We made 6 cards and had a lot of fun doing that. I'm going to be putting just the tutorial and video links for sale in my online store, as well as the new paper craft collective that we have going on. I'm really excited about the one we did for November. You can get it for free by placing an order with me, or you can purchase it from my store. But what we did was all gift ideas. So there's a whole thing of 3D gift ideas, sort of candy wrappers and ornaments and really cool stuff. So that's going to be available for this month. Remember, when you place an order with me, you get not only that PDF tutorial for free with 8 projects, but you also get some pieces of a card to craft along with me the following month. I paused because I want to stamp before I adhere things. So I'm not going to put my DSP strip on the bottom and put it in my card quite yet, because I'm going to make sure that my Merry Christmas goes down okay. Okay, I stamped that in the middle here, and I used Real Red and Old Olive, which is coordinating with the Designer Series paper as well as the cardstock that I'm using. I'm going a little bit high because I'm leaving room for that strip to be across the bottom. And then I'm also leaving room up here for the Mary to go there. I'm a little off center there, so I'm almost wondering if maybe I ought to just put this strip over here and make that look a little more centered. I think maybe I'll do that. And then it will have the extra room at the bottom for people to sign their name, right? So it's a good thing I didn't glue it down, right? I didn't necessarily have to turn it over and stamp again, but I think this is going to be more balanced. Putting this over here. I was talking with my friend today who has the 3D printer. I know I've talked about before my little adhesive caddies. I did one of these out of cardstock, and I have that tutorial on my YouTube channel. It's really fun to make, but it holds up pretty well. But I wanted one for a retreat one time, and so he printed these on his 3D printer, and I'm going to be putting those on my website for sale, along with the block holder that he made. These were what we did for the Royal Retreat. So it won't have the name on the back, but this will be available in my online store along with all my tutorials and things. Okay. So that's going to go right there. And then I'm going to go back to some liquid glue so that I can just do some little dots. And that one's going to go here for a little bit of decoration. And I have one more that's going to go up there. When I try not to put too much glue, I make little dots instead of squeezing it out, and I feel I have more control that way. Okay, and then I'm going to make our first ornament that's going to go in there. And I guess this could stick to the front since this is going to just have the ornaments on it. There's no stamping on this layer, so we're good to stick this one down. Does anybody have any questions? I've been trying to like scoot along because the last couple I did ended up lasting longer than I intended. I try to keep all my videos to about half an hour. And sometimes I get chatty or we do a little something extra and it runs long. So I was trying not to do that today, but I also don't want to rush things so that you don't know what I'm doing. So feel free to stop and ask questions. Okay, now this one, when it punched out of the punch, it has a little bit of stuff on it. I keep saying I need to take them upstairs and punch them through aluminum foil so that it will sharpen them. So I'm going to need to just trim this up a little bit. I could also use an emery board like a nail file or a little sanding block. Any of that's going to just trim off some little imperfections on the edge. And then we have a little bit of stamping. You know, our Merry and Bright, which is 2 different stamps. And then I have Sending Cheer on the outside. So we're going to need one more white circle. I wonder if this is big enough. Yep. There we go. So back to our traditional labels. I love that they're separate stamps because it allows you to mix and match and get all sorts of good things. So let's see. Sending and then Cheer and Merry and bright. Okay, so again, kind of using my grid paper to set them down and just figure out where I want them to be, and letting them naturally, shape to the way they want to be. And then I can just press my block down over it. And back to our old olive. And I'm stamping white on white, which gets confusing. So I have often said, if you have trouble seeing where the edges are, you may want to put down some colored cardstock underneath it, just so you can see the defined edges. So sending cheer will get attached to my red ornament. And I could mix and match them. They don't have to go necessarily on the same way I did my example, but okay. These ones are just going to be on their own because they're going to go in the back. So I want to take a little bit of adhesive and put it on the bottom. And have it kind of popping out of the top. And I just want it maybe twice as wide as my silver so that you can see that it's popping up, and get part of that. And this does have adhesive sheet, but it's a little buried, so let's see if I can get the end to lift. There we go. And I'm going to leave it a little long. I always prefer to go a little long and then trim off from the back, because I'd rather be too long than too short. While I have this, since it was a little challenging to get going, let's do all of them. I know Stampin' Up! Does have some dies, and in the past we've had punches that are ornaments, but I didn't have them. But I wanted to show you that that doesn't mean we can't create our own. So they're not in all the pretty shapes or have the detail, but they work, right? All right, so this one I'm going to stick right there. And then the others we will arrange on the front, and then I will be done almost on time. Like I said, I aim to be done at 3 o'clock, so. And I do have the card I'm going to be doing on Thursday. You may have noticed it's already up there and scheduled. Again, I will be live for that one, and then it's Monday that starts my trip, so those will be pre-recorded. Okay, I'm going to set these two down first, kind of letting them overlap a little bit, but keeping them on my focal point of the front. Okay, so there is our card with our little expanding. And if you wanted to, you could add a little more detail here. It just had such a busy background. I wasn't sure that I wanted to put more there. And then you're going to tie a regular bow on the front, and you can't use the bow maker tool because it is attached. But what you might want to do is kind of pull your knot until you have it tight, and then hold it shut with your reverse tweezers. And that's going to give you time to be able to mess around with the ribbons and make your pretty little bow. And, you know, fiddle with the tails and, you know, all the stuff you need to do to get it straight. And then you can pull off your tweezers and you have an almost pretty bow. So again, it takes a little more fidgeting, but you see how holding it down with that tweezers just allowed me more time to fiddle around with the bow. So that is today's card. It's a gatefold with an expanding center. And Thursday, we're going to be doing the center of attention card. That's one I have done before. Here is the one we're going to be doing. So it's using that Tags and More designer series paper. It's a little 6x6 stack that's designed for making tags, but I went ahead and made a card out of it. And I had actually made this one first, and then that sold out. I was kind of bummed. I really liked that stamp set with the manger scene and Mary and Joseph, but I didn't get a chance to use it before it went out. But if you have it, this is a really cool card to do with it as well. So there we go. There is today's video at exactly 3 o'clock. So thank you everyone for being here. Do you have any questions? Yeah, I can see some zoo or dinosaur papers, the pullout in the middle. Yes. Okay, so thank you for everyone for being here, and I will see you back here on Thursday for our center of attention card that will be really easy to make. I know it doesn't look it, but it is. It is super easy, and you're going to love it. And I will see you then. Thanks. Bye.